I want to thank everyone for attending. I know that everyone has a busy life and so much going on in project management these days, so I really am pleased to see that we have such a large attendance for this session today. I look forward to everyone's comments and feedback at the end, as well as fielding any questions that you may have regarding this presentation or any of the other topics that you've heard Jessica talk about that I have an interest in. So I'd like to start this presentation by kind of moving towards a few kind of agenda. I want to kind of go through and say, all right, I want to start with some short definitions that I'll be using throughout the presentation, so that way we all start from the same page and the same point of view. And then I want to start by going into a discussion about project management, about complexity theory, communication, leadership. Then I want to go on to some strategies for success. Hopefully these will be some ideas and thoughts that you'd be able to apply in your real-world projects, and then talk a little bit about best practices, what we've seen in the past, what we've learned in the past, and then kind of close it out with some thoughts for the future. So that's pretty much the agenda that we'll be having today. As already indicated, save your questions till the end, and if at all possible, please direct them all to Jessica, so that way she can kind of field them to me, and we can kind of make sure that all the answers are addressed and all the questions are taken care of. All right. So definitions. I kind of want to start with a definition of how I kind of view program management. Programs are a selection of projects, sub-programs, or activities to achieve a strategic goal with a benefit realization at a lower cost. So you'll see that there's elements of different projects being associated with it, programs, activities, as well as cost ramifications. Program management basically is the leadership of the program. So in essence, program management is the fundamental leadership of the entire program, which consists of projects, sub-programs, and activities. So there's so many different things happening. That's kind of how I'm defining program management here. I'm sure that there are other definitions out there, but just kind of so we all start on the same point. Theory. This is a theory that believes that allowing a certain amount of chaos to survive in an orderly world can yield benefits beyond that of following a linear model. So what there is complexity is hoping to describe or explain different phenomenon or activities that seemingly occur randomly, not necessarily in the same linear progression. For example, the basis of the complexity theory was based upon weather patterns and atmospheric movements. Once again, as we know, although we are getting better with satellite technology, weather patterns are still not being able to be 100% determined, because it's impossible to typically track all the small forces that are occurring. Typically, weather patterns are being monitored at a very high level. However, there are very small forces that can have an impact upon the weather. And even since the weather is a closed system, you can even have small forces, such as an example of being a migration of birds in Japan, may have an impact on the path of a storm in New Zealand. These small forces, when combined with other forces, can have an impact. Now, the idea of complexity is the idea that a program can benefit from linear and nonlinear thinking in a manner that reflects human interactions. For example, an effective team can drive a program further if they are allowed to follow their own path. Consider the example of a cobblestone road. Consider that it's just a seemingly random collection of stones brought together, and it creates this road or path. When you examine the stones in one part of the road, that examination will not necessarily yield you an idea of what the stones will look like later in the path. They're completely at random and completely different. However, they all are brought together to create a linear path. So I'm trying to give the explanation of how complexity kind of can work as well, being in a linear fashion. So both elements exist in kind of our existence, and so it's important to try to utilize both. Moving on to communication, I kind of define this as virtual communication. Communication between individuals that are not all co-located. Right now with any project and any program, I don't think it's possible anymore to really have all the resources and individuals have everyone co-located in a single location. No program is going to have everyone involved with the program together in one location anymore. You're going to have suppliers and other individuals that are remote, people that are going to be operating virtually. So when we're talking about communication, think of it as virtual communication. Another element of virtual communication is that it's going to involve some level of technology to connect the participants. Okay? With leadership, in this presentation, we're going to talk about basically transformational leadership. Transformational leadership is the force creating success through the fusion of process and entrepreneurship. So what we're talking about is combining entrepreneurship and different processes in order to lead. I know there are other theories out there of leadership. However, for the most part of the presentation, this is what we're going to be speaking about. And so just keep that in mind when we're kind of going through the different discussions and slides about leadership. Okay? Moving on, I want to talk about how program management's not new. It's something that's been around for a very long time. I threw up a few examples just to give everyone an idea that, yes, programs have existed for as long as humans have had civilization. For example, King Solomon's Temple, the pyramids, the Inca Empire road system. Let's take the example of the pyramids because most people are aware of them or have an idea of those. And those are, once again, programs that have brought together communities or states or cities in order to work towards a common goal, oftentimes to create a tomb or a monument to a particular leader or a particular individual who is highly regarded in the community. So as you can see, just by the sheer scale of what these projects are, there was a lot going on. And in the study of finding out how these were built, actually when these pyramids were being built, typically there'd be an entire community that would develop around it in order to support the infrastructure of the entire project or program. So it's something that's been around for a long time. Another one I want to point out is the Inca Empire road system, only because many of us are familiar with the Roman road system. However, the Inca Empire had hundreds of miles of road long before the Romans, and they had it built in South and Central America. And so not as many people know about it. But again, now that you're developing this road system that's going to require work projects in remote locations, you're going to have people that are going to be building roads and bridges in different locations. You're going to need to harness different techniques because you're going to need some engineers to design it. You're going to need people that build it. You're going to need the supply chain in order to have the project the materials come to the project site. You're going to have people. You're going to have people that are going to be enforcing deadlines, and it's all kind of happening all at the same time. And in this case, this was to build a communication network for the Inca Empire, so that way a runner could go from one location to another and pass along communication, such as in the government, to have taxes, or also to have soldiers travel along those roads. So as you can see, even given the limited technology of these particular programs, they were able to be successful even though they may be working in remote locations or in difficult places. So it's something that to keep in mind. I know that a lot of us think about program management and think of modern program management, but a lot has been going on with it for a long time. Okay? Kind of jump ahead a little bit now to kind of what we're used to more in program management of today. I kind of want to